Hi, Raymond. We just want to make sure you're online.
Yes, I am. Sorry.
No worries. All right. I think we're ready to go, Liz.
All right, great. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Just want to let you all know you are all muted. I don't know if you can tell. You'll be muted during the presentation. There's a chat and a Q&A feature on the side of the WebEx. Feel free to use that during the presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be monitoring it. It's Liz from MCS, by the way. So if you have any questions, those features, at the end of the presentation, I'll make sure to go through them and ask all your questions. So just so you all know, MCS had a long relationship with MaxRecall and WebPresented CRM for several years now, working with our A+ customers and adding tremendous value to their A+ investment. So we really appreciate them coming with us today and helping us to present to you guys. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to both the CEO of MaxRecall and the CEO of WebPresented. James is from WebPresented, and Raymond Brooks is from MaxRecall. I'll hand it over to you guys.
Thank you, Liz. James, go to the next slide. We'll go through the agenda very quickly. First of all, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. And James and I have been working for a while together to see how WPCRM and MaxRecall's document management technologies should work well together. We find a lot of synergies. I'm going to briefly through a discussion of those synergies, and then James will do a product demonstration showing how our integrations work. We'll discuss the solution partnership roadmap, and we do encourage you to provide us feedback and input into that roadmap so that we might be able to meet the needs that you particularly have in your business environment. And there will be a question and answer period at the end, as Liz said. So with that, next slide. MaxRecall was founded in 1999. Our founding premise is documents and the information they contain drive all business processes. We've been an Infor solution partner, originally starting in the old NextTrend days since '99. We have 250 plus implementations, over 10,000 users, and we're approaching, if not exceeding, 1 billion documents under management across our platform. We are a solution that works for companies really as small as 10 million in revenue, but we have clients that are up to the $2 billion range. So that's a synopsis of MaxRecall. Document managed business process automation, data capture functionalities. James?
Thanks, Raymond. This is James Gertis here from WebPresented. Despite the silly accent, we are located in the States as well. We're in Columbus, Ohio. We very much work with the same types of customers that Raymond mentioned. So those wholesale distributors in the 10 million to 2 billion range. We have over 100 Infor ERP companies running WPCRM. I myself am actually an ex-Infor employee. I worked on the solutions architecture team, so I have a very, very rich history and background with Infor's A+. I've known it from its daily commerce days. I've seen the product, I've seen Infor's direction with the product, and really WebPresented's place and the reason why we're around is that we augment A+ implementation. So a lot of customers, A+ does a lot of things very, very well. Manages inventory, creates orders, tracks receivables, financials, etc. But there's certain areas that it doesn't do well. And this kind of leads into our next topic, which is how both MaxRecall and WebPresented improve the experience that companies have with A+. Not one software package can be everything to everyone and do all of those pieces well. So that's where our what we call the the ERP ecosystem comes in place. And we're looking at this specifically from a CRM point of view, but Raymond could probably say the exact same things from a document management point of view. WPCRM does CRM very, very well. If you look at the section on the left, there's also Max Recall, which does document management very well. The ERP system, and all these different software applications within the ecosystem are very good at specifically what they do, and that's classically how a lot of companies run. What we're moving towards is the right side of the screen, which is where a CRM, a document management, e-commerce system, as well as a BI tool are all integrated together, so they really build value upon one another. And that's where our software, at least WPCRM as well as Max Recall, comes into play. We have a very deep understanding of how Infor A+ works. We have built deep integrations within the Infor A+ system, so that when you're working a CRM or when you're working document management process and workflows, we can take events and activities and data from your ERP system and use it in the context that you might not be able to do when you're inside of the ERP. And that's where our true synergies come into play, and that's where we feel the return on investment comes. What I'm going to walk you through now for the rest of the demonstration, or at least for the next 10-15 minutes, is some examples of how not only WPCRM, but also Max Recall and A+ all work seamlessly together to make your life much easier for your users and to enrich the experience and make it very easy to provide additional value to your customers by using an integrated platform like WPCRM and Max Recall. Raymond, I'm going to turn it over to you if there's anything else you wanted to add with regard to the synergies of our two platforms with A+.
No, James, I think you've covered that, and the key is where we have worked well together is integrating solutions to where they're communicating back and forth, and that's where James and I have moved Max Recall to the next level with the WPCRM, so that those two systems are talking back and forth. You'll see where documents will be output from WPCRM into the Max Recall repository or called from our repository by WPCRM. So the idea is to create a synergistic platform that integrates well within the A+ environment. The ultimate goal is to allow you an enhanced and improved customer relationship and the ability to drive sales and manage sales in your business enterprise.
Okay, very good. So what I'm going to do now is show you some examples of, I'm going to run this primarily from the WPCRM point of view, and I'm going to show you three different integration points with that marry those three systems together. So we're talking about A+, obviously, is the master record of source for customer information, product information, vendor information. All of that type of information is housed in A+. Yet your sales organization may not have access to that data, particularly if they're out in the field, if they're on their smartphone or their laptop or mobile device, then they're out in front of a customer, but they want information immediately at their fingertips from not only from A+, but also documents that might be housed inside of Max Recall. Max Recall does a fantastic job of archiving, of tagging, of associating documents together. So we want to give that value into the hands, in this situation, of your sales organization who are out in the field. So what I'm going to do is what we call sort of a day in the life of one of your sales reps. And I'm going to walk through an example of where that sales rep might be talking to a customer. Now that customer exists in A+, and Max Recall, since it has integration with A+, also understands who that customer is based on the customer number. And of course, CRM is the repository for notes and activities and CRM and quoting activities when you're out in the field to work with customers. So we're going to walk through three examples. The first one is, let's say I'm in front of a customer and they want to get a quick pricing and availability request on a product. Traditionally, that would involve a sales rep speaking to their customer, maybe sending an email to your inside sales or your support team then logging into A+, finding out that pricing and availability for the specific customer, sending an email back to the sales rep, and then the sales rep wanting to understand, based on those part numbers, are there any supporting documents that go along with that product? So they would go ahead and log into Max Recall, do a search in Max Recall based on part numbers, based on vendor information, gather together those supporting documents and send an email to the customer with not only the pricing and availability of that product, but also the documents from Max Recall. And what we're going to show you today is how that is now seamless in just a couple of clicks of your mouse, how we can do all of that without any inefficiencies and all through one streamlined user interface. So that's number one. Then we're going to take that one step further, and we're actually going to go ahead and create a quote and send that quote to our customer, again using Max Recall for documents, supporting documents. You'll see that based on a customer information, we can get customer-related documents directly from the CRM. So any kind of credit applications, any emails, important emails from the customer that are housed in Max Recall are automatically going to be brought into CRM and at the fingertips of your sales user out in the field. And then finally, we're going to send that quote to the customer, but we're also going to create a copy of that quote for archive purposes and push it into Max Recall so it's available for Max Recall users when they're looking through document repositories, when they're performing their daily tasks within that application. So it's a two-way synchronization process, and the goal is to streamline the availability of documentation in both systems at any given time, so it avoids the having to jump between systems, and it's an efficient user experience. One quick admin note. Please, by all means, we very much want you to ask questions regarding how the systems work together, regarding anything that you see today. Just for the sake of keeping things moving smoothly, I'm going to ask that any questions you have are entered into the chat window, and Liz is going to do a great job of organizing those questions, and we'll have time for a Q&A session after the fact. I'm going to show you some live software. So this is real systems. They're customers' demonstration systems. So you'll see things working and actually clicking. I'm very much averse to what I call PowerPoint demo by PowerPoint. I want you guys to see real software and real clicks. So that being said, Raymond, anything else to add? Liz, anything else to add, or ready to see some live software?
I think we're ready to go.
Very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our WPCRM system. And you'll notice here that the first thing I'm going to do is open up my quoting tab within WPCRM. Now, within Quoting tab, let's just go ahead and reset this. I'm going to start typing in some customer information. Now, the customer may be any customer inside your A+ system. So just within a few keystrokes, I'm going to be able to start typing the customer information. And based on the current user's security, I'm going to only be able to see the accounts or the customers that are relevant to me. So again, using your A+ as sales rep 1, 2, 3 structure, or additionally a regional management type structure, I can now choose a customer, and automatically it knows the warehouse that that customer belongs to, and it also ties it into the account number or the customer number inside of A+. Obviously, within that customer, I can then drill in and see any ship tos, and I can also choose the list of contacts that we're going to send this to. So it defaults the warehouse. Now I'm going to start typing in a part number, a product number. So let's say I'm visiting, I'm a sales rep, I'm out visiting Sign and Crane Services. They're one of my big customers, and they want to get a price on a Brother printer. So I start typing in a few keystrokes. It recognizes part numbers, again, from A+. I can see I've got one of this available. Let's just go ahead and click on that. And now again, it knows the units of measure based on the selling units of measure inside of A+. Now I click search, and traditionally, this would be done inside of the ERP system, but now we provide the ability to access this in real time, pricing and inventory information from A+ within CRM. So we've seen here we've got our customers' information, we bring in their credit status, as well as product information. Who's the vendor? How many do we have available? Where does this exist in the warehouse? Now, I'm going to skip over this section because this is really the meat of where we're going today. But I'm going to show you now just a little bit more information that we get out of A+. So of course, we get this customer-specific pricing. If this customer had a discount, if you had a price contract set up, you would see that customer's pricing. So anything, this reuses A+ logic. We're certainly not reinventing the wheel. We actually call our PG code that's sitting on your A+ to come up with customer-specific pricing, as well as cost information, as well as the availability by warehouse. So I can see how many of this product are available at various warehouses. I can even see if there's any complementary replacement products. So great, I've given my customer a price on a specific product. That all works very well. However, what if there's supporting documents, marketing materials, safety sheets, installation instructions, accessory guides, etc., that go along with this product that I want to be the best salesman possible, I want to send them to my customer? Well, that's where the WPCRM and Max Recall integration comes into play. So based on this part number out of A+, I can now do an immediate search within the Max Recall document repository based on specific document types and bring those documents into WPCRM. I can click on any one of those documents, and of course, I'll get the PNG preview image of that specific document. For example, if I wanted to see an accessory guide, I could see that information brought up within the web viewer. Once I go to send this quote, of course, I can check specific documents, and it's going to pull those PDF files in and send them as attachments along with a price quote to my customer. Now, let's say I want to come in here and do a little bit more of an advanced search. So not only do I want to get these products that are related to the part number, but I also want to understand if there's any other related documents, not only to this part number, maybe to the customer, maybe to the vendor. And that's where we have the integration between WPCRM and Max Recall. In one click of a link, it's going to now send this query to Max Recall directly out of WPCRM, and Max Recall is going to search through its repository and find related documents to this particular part number. So I can see here, not only do I have the marketing brochure that we had to send out, I also have a warranty document. So now if I click on the warranty document, I can see that information from Max Recall as well. Again, the two systems play side by side, work extremely well together, and now I have the data at my fingertips when I'm interacting with my customer. A quick note on this particular point, I'll close out of this section. This particular screen works very well in mobile format. So let's say I'm out in the field, I'm actually in front of my customer now, I'm on my smartphone, and I want to get this same information. How does that look? Well, using my emulator here, here's our mobile device, our mobile format, and you'll see here that it has the exact same information. It has my customer information. We integrate with Google Maps, so I can find that customer on my map. I can get driving directions. I can call them immediately. But then again, I can see the product information, as well as the inventory by warehouse and the price and the cost information. You'll notice I also get to view any related documents now from my mobile device, and I can view those immediately on the screen. So let's say we have a product image, some photos of the product, and my customer's talking about it. I can simply click on that link and show them my smartphone, and they'll see the picture of the product that we're talking about. So both a browser-based implementation as well as a HTML5 web application designed for responsive mobile access. Okay, so that's the first step. That simple ability to look up pricing and inventory. But let's take that one step further, and now my customer actually wants a specific quote. So I'm going to go into WPCRM's quoting module. And again, let's go ahead and type in our part number that we mentioned before. And I'm just going to add a dozen of these guys to my quote. Again, I can get any related information I want as I'm adding the product. Now, once I click Add, we're actually, again, going out to A+ in real time, getting the same pricing information that you would get if you were actually keying this part number into A+ in your pricing and inventory screen. But let's go ahead and add a couple more products. So let's just go ahead and do HPL. This is an HP printer this time. I'll go ahead, it's an expensive one. Let's go ahead and add one of these printers to our quote. As you can see, as I add the products to my quote, it's building almost like a shopping cart. I've got 2 items on my quote now. Let's go ahead and add a few more. At any point in time, I can click on the related documents from A+. Finally, I'll go ahead and add some supplies. These are 50 gallons of printer ink that's going to go ahead and add to my printers. So there we have a nice quote. We've added 3 products to our quote. I'll go ahead and save that, and now this quote actually gets saved. A copy of this quote is pushed into A+, and a draft copy of the quote is pushed into Max Recall. But let's go ahead now. So I'm about to send this quote to my customer, but my customer specifically wants to see some additional information when they receive the quote. They want to know, for example, some safety data. They also want to see the warranty or perhaps the technical specifications for this particular product when we go ahead and send them that quote. So I'm going to check off those documents, those PDF files, and go ahead and click Update and Close. So now we still have 3 items on our quote, but when I come to finalize and send this quote, you'll see that as well as my quote document, and I'll just show you what that quote's going to look like. Of course, this brings in information which is formattable, so you can format this according to your branding. In this case, we have just kind of our demo company set up. Here's our quote template. You can see it's got page numbers, we've got logos. This is completely customizable and configurable for your environment. So this is what the quote is going to look like to our customer. But in addition to sending Mary, who's my contact at this particular customer, in addition to sending her the quote, we're now also pulling those files out of Max Recall in real time and sending them to my customer as attachments to the quote. So I go ahead and send that quote, and now the quote's gone. It's gone to my customer, and in this case I haven't set up a valid email address, but that quote's going to go out and be sent to my customer. Okay, and then finally, the last piece is within Max Recall itself, and I'm going to turn this over to Raymond to explain exactly where this particular quote is going to show up now inside of Max Recall. But if I go ahead and launch the Max Recall viewer, you'll see here that I can search for that quote that was sent to my customer, and the quote's going to appear as a PDF file, automatically synchronized, pushed into Max Recall, so it avoids us having to additionally send that. And again, I do apologize, Raymond. Do you happen to know where that quote?
Go back to Return to Search. Click Return to Search. Do the drop down for doc types and go up to the doc types and go to click there down to Sales Activity. Click that, because I put those on a separate thing.
Okay.
There's your sales quote.
Yep.
And you can search, and your quote should be there.
All right. So here's a TIFF copy of our quote. Yep. Yeah. We can go ahead and send it.
Oh, we'll just click to the right, the little square, right by the word main. You got to click the checkbox.
Oh, to the left. Okay.
Now hit Get Documents. Okay. And so the quote that was pushed out is in there. Notice here we also have a sales email that maybe the customer confirmed that email by email, gave you a PO. If you just click at the top to the right, it'll launch the email. And there would be a where the customer said, go ahead here, I want to order that, and here's my PO, and you can do that. Now, within Max Recall, many of you are current Max Recall customers. What would happen is the other relationships that we have created in the document management repository of Max Recall would exist. So what would happen is this quote would then become associated with the customer's purchase order. If you issue acknowledgments out of A+, we would capture that acknowledgment and make it related. If you created a pick ticket, we would have.
Hey Raymond, you're cutting out a little bit. Raymond, we're only hearing.
Yeah.
Raymond,
Okay.
we're only hearing every other word.
All right, let me slow down. Okay. What I was saying was the quote itself will then become relational based upon how you configure Max Recall to other document types that are captured in the sales process. That would include the customer's purchase order. If you issue acknowledgement, your acknowledgement. If you use pick tickets, it would capture the pick ticket, proofs of delivery, your ultimate sales invoice, and if you wish, ultimately the check or the payment from the customer. The goal is to create a relational repository of all of your business transactions that are in document form. One of the features that's been added to Max Recall is the ability to do queries, and then from those queries do email alerts with links to documents that will drive workflow. We don't have time to show that today, but for example, let's suppose that a salesman had a series of quotes that he had published. We could manage and send him an alert based upon the expiration date that, hey, you have these 10 quotes that are out in play among your customer base that are going to expire this Friday. Follow up with the customer, see if you can close the business. Other queries might relate to if an approval is needed. Maybe you've got a quote that's approaching a credit limit. We could create ways to drive approvals to sales management or accounting management to approve credit. So one of the functionalities that you'll see in our roadmap is to take this sales management process and the documents related to that process and add the functionality of workflow, and we call it document-based workflow, where we will deliver an email with a link, and that link would link you to the Max Recall repository or potentially to the WPCRM repository or website as necessary, depending on what the work was needed. So I think you're seeing how the two work together in a really synergistic way to help you do create a better relationship with your customers. James?
Yep. No, thanks, Graham. That's perfect. So that is the kind of end of my live demo, but I want to take a step back now. And you've seen how just some small interactions, how Max Recall and WPCRM interact. This isn't designed to be a full-blown demonstration of the full capabilities of both systems. Of course, Raymond would be more than happy to take that offline if you're interested. If you're not a Max Recall customer and you're interested in understanding more about Max Recall's system, I myself would be more than happy to talk about WPCRM as an A+ integrated CRM platform. But the goal today is to talk about where this relationship between our two businesses as kind of leading third-party solution providers for A+ customers comes into play. And that's where we've designed a roadmap. This roadmap is designed to show you how your existing investment in A+, how we're still investing in A+ as a platform. The two companies working together, we've already built out the hooks that you've seen today, so those linking in the quoting process, the quoting is a very large part of WPCRM. So the ability to send quotes and integrate documents with quoting. We have designed a product roadmap between MaxRecall and WPCRM, where we're going to get more and more integrated over the next 6 months or so and beyond. What we showed you today was not only the platform integration, where we've understood, based on how the two technologies can work together, the various APIs, but also simple things like document generation, the ability to pull a document from MaxRecall when quoting for a customer, the ability to take that sent quote from WPCRM and archive it in MaxRecall so that it can be followed up on or used at a later date. Let me just tell you a few more examples, kind of business cases of where our current integration is going. And then I'll show you in terms of a timeline. So the first thing is within WPCRM, obviously, we have the ability to capture leads and prospects and take those prospects and eventually convert them to customers when they place orders with you. Now, that customer setup is typically done inside of A+. However, there's a lot of prospect information inside of WPCRM where, let's say, you're harvesting a lead. Let's say somebody shows up to one of your trade shows, stops at your booth, and you want to understand the true return on investment for that prospect before they became a customer. Well, a good example of the three systems integrating well is that credit application document from the customer. So WPCRM manages the relationship from prior to their first order. A+ takes ownership of that customer once they've become a buying customer. MaxRecall stores that credit application that customer's filled in order to understand more background information. So what our platform integration enables us to do is now, let's say I'm looking at that particular account or that customer record inside WPCRM, I'll be able to query MaxRecall and get all the associated documents based on document type relating to a specific customer. Again, I want to see their credit application. If I have the valid authorized user role, I'll be able to download that application directly from the CRM tool. Just one example, but it shows you how documents can be made available using an integrated platform. Similarly, to Raymond's point, within WPCRM, we have the ability to look at order history. We can look at analytics, sales analytics, and reporting, but then we can drill down into specific orders. Based on that order, I might want to find associated documents. So again, I'm looking in front of my customer, they're asking about an order, I might want to get a delivery confirmation document. I'll be able to go ahead and query MaxRecall directly from my mobile device, directly from WPCRM, and pull in any image files, any actual documents that are associated with that information. Then finally, we're going to talk a little bit more about the workflow that Raymond alluded to a little bit earlier. So the ability to follow up on expiring quotes, the ability to send me an alert if there's a invoice comes in over $10,000 or an open order comes into A+. The ability to even send a shipping confirmation out to my customer from the CRM tool. Or on the marketing side, let's say you have a repository of marketing documents inside of MaxRecall. Well, my customer calls me up and I know who that contact is based on CRM. Within one click, if that customer wants to receive a marketing brochure based on a specific vendor, I can send them that email from the CRM tool. It'll grab the document from MaxRecall, send it as an attachment, and log that email in the communication history so that everyone on my team who works with that particular account understands the communication history between us and that particular customer. Raymond, I'm going to turn this over to you. I've talked about this from the WPCRM side. Do you have anything to add from a MaxRecall perspective on our two companies' partnership and roadmap going forward?
No, I think James and I have developed a relationship over the last few years, and one of the important things is he and I are aligned in understanding the business processes within the distribution industry and what we see as the needs. We know there's a lot of movement into mobile device, web accessible information. And there's not only can Max Recall facilitate the delivery of a copy of a marketing document, but if you choose, the security in Max Recall is such that you could have a customer go direct to a Max Recall repository and have a group of documents that they could self-serve themselves and serve with, who have created portal functionality. They use the Max Recall web and the repository functionality to allow customers to go in and get their own proofs of delivery. One of the things James and I are talking about is make that portal-like activity come through WPCRM if necessary. On the workflow piece, since we mentioned credit applications, one of the things that we look at doing there is the step one is to build a credit file electronically. That might be credit application, financial statements, bank references, Dun and Bradstreet type reports, etc. One of the things that's not done well with that is managing the life cycle of those documents, which Max Recall can do. So we can bring a group of documents in and put an expiration date on those documents, and then we can run queries and send alerts, and again drive workflow around managing your credit information. Typically what happens is when a customer gets 90 days to 100 days delinquent and you realize that customer has a problem, it's your credit information is not updated, so you weren't able to proactively manage that customer that's in trouble, and sometimes it's too late. So that's just one example of how we can use the information related to a customer and drive some workflows around that and provide information. So I think that is interesting. Again, within the security levels, we can expose to those individuals, to those customers, both inside your organization and outside the organization as you desire, what they can and cannot see. So we have a good bit of control over that. That's all I have on that, James.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to now turn it over to you, Liz. I'm done with my portion of the demonstration, and if you could let us know if there are any questions from the audience, more than happy to answer.
Sure. We got one question that asked, what technology does WPCRM's quoting module use to pull both pricing and inventory real-time from A+?
Okay, so the integration with A+, WPCRM, like I mentioned earlier, we do use A+ logic. So if you're looking up customer pricing and availability, we actually have RPG code that sits on the A+, and we have some web services that run on the AS400 that call that RPG code to reuse A+ pricing and inventory logic. So it's basically our own API that MCS actually helps installs for us that pulls data in real time from the WPCRM application into or from A+ into the WPCRM application using those web services. So it's a proprietary API.
All right, great. We have another one that says, can customer logos that are stored in Max Recall be used in the presentation of quotes to our customers from WPCRM?
Yeah, go ahead, Raymond.
I'll answer one side of that. Okay. The logo, the overlay, the image overlay for logos and whatnot are regularly stored in Max Recall because we use those in other processes. So the key there is they would be accessible by WPCRM, and then James, you would overlay those on that quote format, and then you can publish those as a logo-enabled document, if that's a proper term, like that. So that's how we would work those two together.
Yep, that's exactly right. So from the WP side, you would create a template for your quote that has a placeholder for the customer's logo in it, and the logo would be pulled from Max Recall in real time. Yep.
One thing there, James, I'm not sure how many customers have multiple companies where they use their subsidiaries or their divisions use different logos, but that would be a great example where you could use WP to do, you know, as a quoting out of A+, but when it's associated with a particular company, we could exchange the logos there that made it division specific or subsidiary specific.
Yep, yep, absolutely.
Liz, any others?
Hey, James and Raymond, this is Steve Hessen. There's a couple more questions that have come in. I just wanted to ask, someone's asking, will the WPCRM Max Recall logic also work with Infor's Cloud Suite product?
That's a great question. Go ahead, Raymond, from your side.
Okay. The within the, you know, the Infor 11 web platform, which is according to Chris Weaver, who's the designer of the UI, that is also the UI that's used in the Cloud Suite. Within the Cloud Suite or in that UI, you have the ability to create links and hooks to applications. There is, I believe, we're up to 3,500 published APIs from Infor on their different applications. So that from the web to us, and our web functionality could then be launched, and then we would interact with it. James, how are you planning on handling that?
Same as you, Raymond. So we've had pretty in-depth discussions with Infor's developers. We currently use Infor's API that is already Cloud Suite enabled for large amounts of our data integration points. So we believe we're in a great spot for that. Certainly the integration between WPCRM and Max Recall won't be affected by users moving to Cloud Suite because it's all based on customer number, document, and IDs. So all of that information is going to stay the same. But yes, we believe that based on what Infor's published on its Cloud Suite APIs, we have everything we need to jump over to that as and when our first Infor customer moves to Cloud Suite.
I might mention that on the 11 platform, if that's the web UI there, that would be associated with an on-premise or a hosted solution. If you have that functionality, those launch points for Max Recall are already in place and tested, where you have that launchability from Max Recall. If you're using a web UI or moving to a web UI, we would be able to, the same launch functionality would exist there. Other questions?
All right.
There was one more question I think would be actually good for James and Raymond to touch on, and that is, you know, someone had mentioned there's a concern whether support for A+ is ending in the future and whether or not that would affect our roadmaps with regards to enhancing A+ in the future. So I think that's a good question for you guys to answer too.
Well, I'll take a stab at that one first. So I certainly don't want to speak for Infor, but I have obviously been we're at Inforum, and we heard the official party line from Infor about support for A+ ending at some point in the near future. I will say that type of announcement has been made before by Infor in the expectation that potentially A+ users would leave the platform. In my understanding and knowledge of A-plus customers, and like I said, we have a lot of A-plus customers that we work with, there is no big drive within the user community to hop over to a different platform anytime soon. Our official Infor support, as it is, has been pretty minimal over the last several years anyway for the A-plus platform, and using products like WebPresented, like WPCRM and Max Recall actually prolong the longevity of a system like A-plus, because you get to have a lot more functionality and features that would typically take place in software upgrades that Infor would provide. So as far as we're concerned, we are committed to the existing A-plus user community, regardless of Infor's official line on support or not. We know that there's a lot of customers that are very committed to that have invested, obviously, an awful lot over several years in the platform. So we are sort of gearing ourselves up to support Cloud Suite, but at the same time, not losing focus on customers who aren't going to be moving anytime soon.
I'm in total agreement with James on that. It's been our experience that customers do not leave the platforms just because Infor tells them to do so. And I think A-plus is a very solid platform. The technology supporting it is still relevant. I think what you're going to see is organizations like Maximum Computer Systems, our host today, and a few of the other channel partners in the Infor world are going to step up and create that support and functionality. So I think the life cycle of A-plus is pretty lengthy. It will continue to do its job, and as James suggested, that we feel that WebPresented and Max Recall enhance the usability and functionality of the platforms. But if at some point in time a customer chooses to switch, whether it be an Infor product or some other ERP in the future, we have both of our applications have built into them, either through the use of APIs or some other data-based integration functionality, are transportable to new platforms. We've had at Max Recall a group of customers who have exited the Infor platform and moved to some other competitive ERP system, but they still use the Max Recall platform. We had to re-engineer for them some technology links so that the same feel of integration and usability continued. So I think the near term maybe being 5 to 10 years, whatever would be appropriate. You know, in the technology world, those windows can compress very quickly. But we're committed to the A-plus customer base. We're committed to our channel partners, Maximum Computers and others, to support them in their relationship with you as the customer. When and if a change is made, we're prepared to move with you. So we're looking for long-term relationships with our customers.
All right, great. Well, I think that actually wraps it up really nicely. I want to thank everyone for joining. Raymond and James, thank you so much, and Max Recall and WebPresented, all of you who are on the call, for a wonderful presentation. Anyone who has any questions, please feel free. You can contact myself. I'm Liz at MaximumComputer.com, or you can contact anyone from MaximumComputer.com. We can connect you with WebPresented or Max Recall. Also, keep an eye out, because you attended today. We'll be sending you a Starbucks gift card as a thank you for coming. And one of the MCS sales reps will also be in touch with you and to follow up and just answer any questions that you might have. So thank you all. Again, thank you, Max Recall, and thank you, WebPresented. And everyone, have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.